Hello, everybody. This is Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show. We watch old 16mm films, and we cheated. That last film was actually shot on 35mm for the United States Information Agency. It's part of some propaganda piece, but that was raw footage. And the thing was, I had no idea where that footage was. I knew it wasn't in the United States, but I couldn't figure out. And so what I did is I took a picture of the hotel in there that has some Arabic, and loaded it into Google Lens, and it told me exactly where it was. So, yeah, that's kind of great to have that tool. Anyways, let's learn about women, consuming women. Not us consuming women, but women as consumers. Enjoy.
Here she is. She is single and fun-loving. She is engaged. She is newly married. And not so newly married. She has no children. She has one child. She has many children. She even has grandchildren. She may be exclusively a homemaker. Or she may hold a part-time job. Or she works in an office full-time. She enjoys her leisure time. She participates in community affairs. She's athletic. To a degree. She travels. And she spends money. In any case, our consumer is a real person, one of a large group of individuals that make up our consumer world.
What? That's it? Yeah, I don't know this. Yeah, let me look this up while we're sitting here watching. Look this up in the database. Consuming women. It was Jam Handy that did it, 1967. Why they did it, I don't know. Except that probably it was a promotional film to kind of talk about how to advertise to women, and how women at different times in their life have different needs and wants. I don't know. I'm just making that up. All right. Once and Forever. Here we go. I think there's some bickering in this one. Enjoy.
My name's Roy Webb. I'm the builder of this housing development. Kind of proud of it, too. It's going to be a real nice place to live for a lot of folks. You know, I've been building houses for better than 20 years. And if there's one thing I've learned in all that time, is that building is more than just brick and mortar and a lot of hard work. Building is people. People with hopes and dreams. People with problems to solve. People like Jack and Ruth Miller, a young couple who left here a few minutes ago. Like a lot of young couples today, Ruth and Jack dreamed for a long time about building a home of their own. They saved their money, and after a good deal of looking, picked a site here and settled on the kind of house I'm building in my development. Generally, they agreed. It suited both their tastes and their budget. Specifically, they couldn't agree at all.
I just can't agree with you, Ruth. I know you want your wall-to-wall carpeting throughout the house, but it's things like plumbing and wiring which matter in the long run, and I'm just not going to skimp on it.
Jack, we've been over this before,
And I've tried to show you.
I know, there's only so much money.
Right, and...
But there's one thing I'm not going to do without. Wall-to-wall carpeting.
But...
Even if it means skimping on things like those underground pipes or whatever they are you and Roy were talking about.
Roy and I were discussing the sanitation and drainage system, dear.
Well, I guess we need that too, but... Jimmy, don't you dare.
This is just a practice mission.
Never mind. I know all about your practice missions. Now, you sit in that big chair there and behave yourself.
Okay, Mom.
Now,
Ruth.
Jack. Well, I was just going to say that after all, I don't know anything about pipes or wires.
That's just the point.
But the first thing company always notices is how the floors look.
Are we building this house for company or for ourselves?
Well, you're at the office most of the time anyway. I'm the one that has to live in this house.
Okay. But you're not going to like it when your house is always being torn up for new plumbing or new wiring.
I don't see why.
Just because we didn't put in the best materials to begin with. Let's face it, this house is going to have to last us a long time.
I know that, dear.
So we've got to build it to last. You don't build a house every day. You build it once and...
I know. Once and forever.
That's right. Isn't it, Roy?
Of course, you do want to use the best materials you can, and you want as many extras as you can get, too. But I've learned from experience that buying or building a new home is almost always a compromise. Compromise between what you think you want and what your budget says you can have. The building of this house will probably be the largest single investment you'll ever make. There are lots of things I can help you with, but there are some decisions you'll have to make for yourself. Now, I can understand how...
Where's Jimmy?
He was sitting in that chair just a second ago.
You go ahead, dear. I'll see if he's all right. Jimmy! you all right, Jimmy?
Sure, Mom. Parachute jump, that's all.
Well, if you've broken that pipe, you can just pay for it out of your allowance.
There you go, son. He didn't do any damage, ma'am. Matter of fact, if it'll make him feel any better, he can parachute jump on it all he wants. There's nothing he can do to hurt this pipe. It's cast iron.
Well, thank you anyway, but I don't think it's too good an idea to have him jumping in and out of trenches.
You're right. Might sprain his ankle or something.
Jimmy, if you'll be careful and keep out of trouble, you can stay out here a while.
Okay, Mom. Tell her to squadron, operate on secret orders.
Stay near Mr. Webb's office now. Excuse me. Did you say this pipe was cast iron?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, what's it for?
It's part of the drainage system. Matter of fact, when I get it all in the trench, it'll be the main part.
Oh,
You building here?
yes. My husband and Mr. Webb have been talking about plumbing and wiring and things like that. That's why I asked you about the pipe.
Well, there's no need to get too technical about it. But this pipe runs from the street all the way up to the roof of your house. Carries waste out to the sewer. Keeps sewer gases from escaping. Something which would be a real danger and a menace to your health. Matter of fact, this pipe will help make your house a healthy place to live in.
Well, I suppose it is important. But isn't there something else we could use? Maybe something a little cheaper? This pipe looks like it'll outlast the house.
It will. Sure, you could use something else. There are cheaper materials. That's if you don't include the cost of installation.
Then why not use them? If we buy the best of everything, we won't have enough money to build a house at all.
Well, you know, it's a funny thing. But thinking back, I'd say that in the long run, cast iron's about the cheapest material you could use, as well as the best. They use it in all kinds of big hotels and office buildings and places like that, just because it does last so long and does such a good job.
Oh,
I'm afraid you won't save any money by using something else here. You just put this stuff down and forget about it. Once and forever.
well, I suppose you're right. Funny, but Jack's always talking about doing things once and forever.
You know, Roy, I've been thinking this over. Maybe I'm not being fair to Ruth. Maybe I'm putting too much emphasis on this once and forever business.
Maybe. But as you said yourself, Jack, you don't build a house every day.
I know. She said her heart set on that carpeting for a long time, and she'd sure be proud to have this house the way she wants it right from the start. Maybe I'm not being fair.
Maybe I'm not being fair about this. You're right. In the long run, it is going to be cheaper to do things right from the start.
You won't regret it, I'll guarantee you that. Once you put this pipe in, you can forget about it. It's watertight, gas-tight, and root-proof.
Root-proof?
Underground roots, like these right here. Always trying to work their way into the system. If they do, you've got real trouble with a clogged-up line.
Well, how do you prevent it?
Put in cast iron. I've never seen anything else which will keep them out like cast iron. Even the joints are sealed with metal. Here, I'll seal up these two sections to show you. Now, I've already put these together and filled in the joint with oakum. A little molten lead. Then, after caulking, it is gas-tight and strong enough to be used anywhere. Even under a driveway or under your basement floor. And you don't need any expensive special tools to install it. No getting around it. A mighty nice job, if I do say so myself.
You get what you pay for, Jack. If you really want to cut some corners in the initial construction to give Ruth what she wants, it'll have to be your decision.
I hate to do it, Roy, but I think we'll have to. Oh, is Jimmy okay? You've been gone quite a while.
He's fine. He's flying a bombing mission right outside. Jack, while I was outside, I got to thinking about the carpeting and other frills, and, well, I can get them later. Let's go ahead and use those quality building materials you want. You see,
Roy and I have been doing some thinking about the same thing, and you're going to have your house just the way you want it, carpeting and all.
But I don't...
Look, it's all settled.
But I don't want it that way.
That's the way it's going to be.
Looks to me like you two are right back where you started. If you could stop laughing long enough, I think I can show you a way to have your cake and eat it too.
Now he tells us.
As you both know, you can't afford everything you'd like in this house right at the beginning. But why does it have to be a case of giving up one thing for another?
Are you saying that we can have both my carpeting and Jack's building materials?
In a way, yes. Look at it this way. Some things are never again as economical as when you first put them in. Your wiring and your plumbing, for instance. Those systems are truly built in, made a permanent part of the house. So let's install the best, the most modern wiring and plumbing we can right at the start. And that goes for anything else which has to be built in.
But what about Ruth's carpeting?
Let's not give up on that wall-to-wall carpeting or any other convenience and beauty features you'll want in your home. Let's plan on them for later installation. Things like that can be added to your home at any time in the future and with no increased cost either. And as a matter of fact, I think if we take another look at that budget of yours, we may find that you can have your carpeting in, say, the living room right at the start.
Well, I don't know. How about you, dear? Are you sold on the idea?
Jack Miller, if you'd stop to listen to what I'm saying, you'd know that I came back here to tell you that I had the same idea.
I stand corrected.
Well then, let's get back to the desk and put down some specifics.
Thanks a million, Roy. We can hardly wait until you get started and the house is finished.
Well, it won't take as long as you think. You'll see.
I do hope we haven't been too much trouble with all our questions and doubts.
Not at all. It's been a pleasure. And believe me, you've made the right decision.
Well, so long, Roy. We'll probably see you out here next weekend.
Oh, no. Jimmy, what on earth?
We were establishing a beachhead.
Honestly,
and...
Jimmy, can't you stay out of trouble for 2 minutes?
I'm sorry.
Now go over and say goodbye to Mr. Webb so we can get you home and into a tub.
Bye, son. Bet you gave the enemy a real good fight.
Sure did. You won't forget to build a room for me, will you?
No, I won't forget, Jimmy. Well, as I told you earlier, building is more than just brick and lumber and hard work. Building is people. Their problems, their hopes, and their dreams. That's why I wouldn't trade my job for anything in the world. Because every so often I can help people solve some of those problems. Perhaps make one of their dreams come true. In the end, I'm sure you'll agree the Millers made a wise decision. But how about you? When you build, be sure you build once and forever.
Wow, the Cast Iron Soil Pipe Institute. I love it. Can you imagine what their trade newsletter looks like and what their conferences are like in Chicago or in Philadelphia? Wild, wild times at the Cast Iron Soil Pipe Institute. And that logo, that CI, that's a good tattoo. All right, this film was made about the same time that they started talking about the generation gap, and it is Christian. Enjoy.
don't understand you.
For instance,
Your hair, for instance.
how did you wear your hair when you went to college?
Crew cut.
What about everybody else?
Everybody else crew cut.
Look around you, Dad. Come on in, I'll take you on. Crew cut.
Something like a good work.
Is that what you always say? Here. Try these on for size.
These yours?
No, mine would be too big for you.
Come on.
In the shoulders.
You're still a kid.
Look, Dad, I'm 20 years old. Since last May, in case you've forgotten.
Is that right, Richard? 20?
Huh. I think your image of me stopped changing when I reached the age of 9.
Well, maybe my image hasn't changed, but you have. You're snippier.
I don't know what you mean by snippy. Does it mean that I speak my mind? That I say what I think as honestly as I can?
I don't think honesty has anything to do with it. I think you've lost respect for your father.
It depends upon what you mean by respect.
Sick of this, Richard. What do I mean by this? What do I mean by that? I use words assuming that they mean what they've always meant.
Well, they don't, Dad.
Well, get yourself a dictionary.
Look, Dad, why did you come here? What do you want from me?
I came here, Richard, to try to understand you.
And save me from a fate worse than death? Look, Dad, you don't have to worry about my immortal soul. I'm not about to denounce God and country and take off for the South Seas.
Hey, Richard, as I told you in my letter, you're a free agent.
How free, Dad?
You want it online?
Yeah.
As free as you can afford to be without my support.
Financial or spiritual support?
I'm beginning to believe that I can't give you either one.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Sorry, especially in the area of your bank account.
No, especially in the area of your heart.
My heart's as good as it always was. And I also am possessed with a pair of good, strong legs. Come on, I want that workout. Take things gradual, that's my motto. Young kids, you rush into things nowadays. Nice and easy does it. What are you staring at?
You.
Why? You think I'm winded or something?
Not at all. Dad, this isn't going to do any good. Look, I don't want to be challenging you every foot of the way. Listen, you believe what you want to believe, and I'll believe what I can. Just leave me free to live my own life, okay?
On my money.
Why do you always have to bring money into it?
Because I work hard to make it.
I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back every cent if that's what you want.
Good. When?
When I can.
What's more important, Richard, is how. How are you going to pay me back? How are you going to earn the money? By carrying signs, protest marches?
Ah, so that's it. You know.
Of course I know. The whole damn country knows. was on the front page of the Gazette.
So that's the reason you came here.
One of the reasons.
Well, I'm sorry you don't like the content of my signs. Would you like it better if I re-lettered the signs to read, I am all for God and country?
It's not the content that's bothering you, Richard.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Dad, because I am spending your not-so-hard-earned money, not to study the thoughts you'd like me to study, and not to learn your values, but to protest against everything you've ever worked for. And that hurts.
Yes, it hurts. A little.
A lot, Dad. I know that. Look, I know that it hurts, but I've got to follow my own conscience on all this.
Meaning I don't have a conscience.
You have your own conscience.
I see. Meaning I don't have an enlightened conscience.
Oh, my God.
Knock it off, Richard.
Knock what off?
You're not to take the name of the Lord in vain.
Dad, I've heard you say Jesus Christ 1,000 times, and you weren't at prayer.
Never mind what I do. I happen to believe in it, which is more than you can say.
And only those who believe are entitled to blaspheme?
Let's play handball.
Dad, you're just too fast for me.
Come on, Richard, play.
I said you're too fast for me, Dad.
I said play.
Look, Dad, what are we going to prove?
Nothing, just play. Come on, game's a game, Richard. Don't just stand there. Somebody else may want the court. Somebody with some guts.
The court is ours for 15 minutes. Nobody wants it. And I've got guts.
Why don't you use them?
I do.
When? At be-ins or love-ins or whatever you want to call them?
When it's important.
I'm not important, right?
Oh, look. Look, Dad, will you just leave me alone?
No, Richard, no. I want to have this out.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk about it, see?
Why not?
Because you don't even want to try to understand.
We used to manage a lot of talk, Richard. About life. What you want to be. Answers to 1,000 questions. I always answered your questions, didn't I?
Yeah, you always answered my questions.
All right. Why can't you answer some of mine?
Because I don't have the answers. That's the difference between us, Dad. You have all the answers. I don't.
Richard, I never claimed to have all the answers, but I'm grateful I had some. You don't have any.
Very few.
What kind of a school is this? It's supposed to be a Christian school. When I went to college, we got the answers. That's what we went for.
Well, we go to find the questions.
Any fool can find the questions, Richard.
Kenny?
Like what? What kind of questions do you have?
About human rights, justice.
Justice?
That was a perfect example of escalation.
And what does that mean?
It means that's what's always happening to us, Dad. We start talking about something, presumably about the same subject, and we always wind up with complete incoherence and physical annihilation.
Richard, I don't understand one word you're saying.
Get a dictionary. How about a shower, Dad?
I'm not even warmed up yet. How about that boxing ring?
You sure you're ready for this?
Prepare to meet thy doom, son. How long has it been since you were in church, Richard?
Why?
Because I don't want to be the cause of your eternal damnation.
You're a very nice father.
I mean it, Richard. How long's it been?
Look, that's my business. Leave me alone, will you? Damn it, will you leave me alone? Dad.
It's all right, Richard. I'm all right. I think I'll go to the steam room.
Dad? Dad, are you in here? Dad? Are you all right?
Never better.
Look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you so hard. I got carried away.
You know, Richard, just before you landed that right to my jaw, I was about to tell you I can't leave you alone because you're my son. I love you.
You're crying.
It's steam, that's all. Clears the lungs out.
You know, I've never seen you cry before.
Sorry I came here, Richard.
I'm sorry you did too, Dad. I knew it wouldn't do any good. There's just too big a gulf, that's all. Times have changed too much.
That's just an excuse, Richard.
No, it isn't, Dad. Listen, the whole world has changed. The reason I can't turn to you for answers anymore is because you don't even understand the questions. And that breaks your heart. I'm sorry.
It takes a lot more than a disrespectful, arrogant son to break my heart.
There you are. I don't even understand your words.
Well, then you've got no morals, Richard. You've got no obedience, no religion.
Not your religion, maybe.
There's only one religion.
There's only one God, you mean. And there's millions upon millions of individuals who are trying to reach him. Well, look, I'm trying to reach him too, but in my own way. Listen, I have to live with my own conscience because that's all I've got.
You're right, Richard. It is all you've got. Because from now on, you have got my tuition. You haven't got my money, and what's more important, you haven't even got my respect.
I should have followed in your footsteps, Dad, and wound up a narrow, sadistic bully.
I think I'll take a shower. See if I can wash off some of the dirt.
It's your dirt. Dad, I'm sorry. I love you. Dad.
Hey, you're wet.
I'm sorry.
You're wet and your towel's slipping.
Oh, yeah.
You look ridiculous. Hey, look, man. Why don't you dry off? I'll buy you dinner.
huh? All right. The melodrama was laid on pretty thick there. And was the dad impressed that his son, like, bloodied his lip ultimately? Anyways, all right. I think there's a program or a teacher's guide with that, but I don't know. All right, so here's another religious film, not from the 70s. I think this is from the 40s, early 40s. And I love this because it is by Cathedral Films, and it shows you how to teach with films. So it's a film with some AV Geeks in it, which, one, I love. Two, it's really an ad for Cathedral Films. So enjoy.
This fourth grade class is studying the missionary work of the church. It has learned from the account in St. Matthew that the 12 disciples of Jesus were the first missionaries, that St. Paul took the church to Europe, and that throughout the ages many missionaries have gone into all parts of the world. Now, the children are interested and want to know where missionary work is being carried on today. Let's listen.
We send missionaries today, don't we? Yes. Remember the doctor from China who spoke to us of his work? I remember, but are doctors missionaries?
Yes. Missionaries can be doctors or teachers as well as ministers. Now I wonder who can tell us where else our missionaries have gone besides China.
I remember you told us a story about a Christmas in Panama. The children in a home had a carol service. And afterwards, they all received presents.
Where did the presents come from?
We sent some from our Sunday school, didn't we?
Yes, and so did boys and girls from Sunday schools all over this country. Do you call sending presents missionary work?
I do, because it tells them that we're their friends.
That's a very good answer, Jane. Because in a way, we can all be missionaries.
My father doesn't believe in missionaries. He says we're wasting our money when we send it away from home.
Well, John, lots of mothers and fathers feel that way about missionaries because they've never known or realized the wonderful work that's been done in spreading the teachings of Jesus throughout the world. Wherever our missionaries have gone, they've built churches, hospitals, and schools. Next Sunday, we're going to see a motion picture that will show us how many lives were saved because of the work these missionaries have done.
Will it be a picture about people of today?
Yes. It's the story of an American aviator shot down behind enemy lines on the island of New Guinea and how he was rescued by a native named Jim who lived on the island. Jim had been educated at the mission school, and one day he found a letter written in English floating in the water.
The teacher now tells the children the story of the picture they are going to see next Sunday. She refreshes her memory from the synopsis as outlined in the guide. From previous study, she has selected certain incidents in the picture that are important for emphasis, thus properly preparing the minds of the children for what their eyes are going to see. From past experience, it has been found that the projector should be set up before Sunday school starts. A roll-up screen has been placed where it can conveniently be pulled down when required. Black curtains have been provided to darken the room when the picture is run. The sound speaker is placed on a pedestal built to bring it as close to the center of the screen as possible and above the heads of the audience. When everything is properly placed, the projector is run to check the focus and sound.
Each church school conducts a service of worship according to local customs. Therefore, we show no details of arrangements. Our fourth grades are now a part of the whole school.
Now that we've finished our service of worship, we will see the picture. Last month, we studied the parable of the Good Samaritan and saw the film, Who is My Neighbor? Today, we will see a picture entitled, We Too Receive, which will take us down to an island in the Pacific Ocean where the church has been at work for many years. Your teachers have already told you the story, and I'm sure that after seeing this picture, you will understand why missions are so important to the church. James, we're now ready to see the picture.
It's a letter from John. Even the mailman knew it. That's why he stopped here first.
Mary, get my glasses. They're in the sewing basket.
Here, let me read it. Dear Mother and Dad, first let me tell you I'm all right. I'm at a base hospital at... The name is censored out here. I've been here for the past 3 weeks, but the doc says I'll be as good as new in about 10 days. I still have my regulation GI number of arms and legs, fingers and toes. But I did catch a couple of nip bullets, one in my leg and one in my shoulder. But he says he's all right now, Mother. I'm going to tell you about it. I was on reconnaissance patrol and was hightailing it for home over some of the toughest country I've ever seen. Where they came from, I don't know. But suddenly, there were some zeros on my tail, and they meant business. I landed in a clearing no bigger than a dime. It might have been luck, but I like to think it was something else. Anyway, I was on the ground, not feeling any too chipper either. But I knew I had to get away from there fast. They knew I was somewhere about, but they didn't know just where. My leg wasn't working well, so I got down on my hands and knees and crawled. I hadn't done a thing about my wounds, and they were beginning to hurt. Also, in this part of the world, you better take care of wounds right now. Well, luck was with me again. I hadn't crawled far when I came to a little stream right smack in the middle of the jungle. I decided to fix my leg first. Jap voices were getting closer all the time. Once in a while, I could hear gunfire in the distance, so I knew I wasn't too far from the ground fighting. Fixing my shoulder was tougher. I had only one hand for it, but I finally got it done, and then I was through. I couldn't go any farther. I don't mind telling you I prayed. I'd rolled back from the stream. It's a good thing I had, too, because 2 Japs waded right down that stream looking for me. About then, I must have passed out because I don't remember anything more until what must have been hours later. I know it was a long time because I was shot down in the evening, and when I came to, the sun was coming up again. I couldn't remember where I was for a minute, but when I tried to move, it all came back to me. My shoulder hurt worse than my leg. About that time, I heard a splashing downstream. Believe me, I lay low. The splashing would go on for about 10 steps and then stop, and a voice would say 2 words I couldn't understand. A moment's pause and the splashing would start again, and again the 2 words. As the voice came closer, the 2 words sounded like my name. I peeked through the foliage. He was standing still, and this time there was no doubt. He said, "John Kane." Imagine my feelings. I'd heard about the headhunters. I knew I didn't have a chance, so I said, "Come and get me," and passed out again. When I came to, my wounds were dressed, and I was looking into the face of the native. He had made some swell bandages out of my chute. If you don't believe in coincidence, no, I'll change that. If you don't believe in the will of God, listen to this. The day before, when I had pulled my first aid kit out to dress my leg, I had pulled out Mom's last letter with my address on the envelope. It had fallen in the stream and floated away. I hadn't seen it, but this native had pulled it out of the stream when it passed his village. He'd seen my plane shot down and knew I was near the stream, and all through the night, he'd waded upstream, calling my name. I don't need to tell you where he learned English. We were still in the jam. The Japs were all around, firing was going on, and the only possible way out was down the stream. So, with Jim supporting me, I never could learn to pronounce his real name, we started out. It was tough going, but Jim was a tower of strength. When I finally snapped out of it, I couldn't seem to get my eyes open, but I heard 2 lovely Yank voices talking right above me. One of them said, "They haven't got a chance. Gangrene ain't no fun." And there's that mountain range standing between them and life. And then I heard a voice I knew, Jim's. "Let us take them back." It was a funny accent, but it was the voice of God. These men are our Christian brothers. Would you have us fail in our duty to God? And with that, we started on our journey. It was tough going. How those men got us up that mountain, I'll never know.
With the cross of Jesus, going Mary, it is wonderful. Fred, isn't there something we can do?
Yes, Mother, there is. We can thank God. Almighty God, Father of all mercies, we, thine unworthy servants, do give thee most humble and hearty thanks for allness and loving kindness to us, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Having seen the picture with the children, the teacher during the week prepares for the discussion next Sunday. She checks over the procedure as outlined in the guide.
The children's interest must be centered on Jim. I should stress the importance of the mission school. These pictures will refresh their memory. They'll see something of the country in which our missionaries work. Jim and the natives helped because it was their Christian duty.
This Sunday, the teacher finds the class eager to talk about the picture they have seen and the work of missionaries. Let's listen.
Last Sunday, you were all in Sunday school, and we saw the picture we too received. It was about an American aviator being downed in the island of New Guinea, and we found out what happened to him. I wonder if anyone else could remember something about the story.
Miss Stevens, that was a good picture. I like Jim. So did I. I like the aviator, too. I'd call Jim a good neighbor. He must belong to our church.
What makes you say that?
Because he sang Onward Christian Soldiers. That's one of our hymns.
Was there anything else that might make you think he's a Christian?
He said he wanted to help his Christian brother.
How do you think he learned to speak our language?
Why, he went to school like we do.
Yes, that's right. He probably went to a mission school and was taught by a missionary.
Just think, if we hadn't sent any missionaries over, what might have happened? I'm not sure that I know where New Guinea is.
Suppose you make a map to show us next Sunday.
I'd like to know what kind of houses they live in and what food they eat.
All right, Tom. Why don't you gather some pictures and make a scrapbook?
I thought it was good to have the father offer a prayer of thanks at the end of the picture.
I'm glad you noticed that, Marilyn. Now, would someone like to write a prayer for missions? All right, Marilyn. You and Susan can write it together. Now, children, be sure and have your projects ready next Sunday. I know we'll all enjoy them.
Let us see how the teacher made use of the picture. Because the class was studying missionary work, the teacher arranged to have them see a picture that showed some of the results of Christian teaching. The projector and screen were properly placed and tested before the service. After viewing the picture, the guide was carefully studied. Photos from the picture were selected, and questions prepared for the discussion on the following Sunday. She encouraged free discussion by the children. Maps, posters, and other projects were stimulated by the picture. And so we have seen how this teacher has successfully used a teaching film in accordance with the following basic principles. 1, determine purposes. 2, make careful preparation. 3, project film. 4, discuss with class. A, information and values acquired. B, plans for future work. After seeing the film, the children find a new meaning in an old hymn.
In Christ now we both peace and way.
I can't believe she assigned homework for Sunday school. What a raw deal. That means you only get one day off on Saturday, and that's when you have to do all the homework for the rest of the days, both your secular school and your Sunday school. Bummer. Although I would say if I was doing the project, what resonated with me with that film was that awesome dogfight at the beginning. I would have had an illustration with people like parachuting and blood and like explosions, and that's kind of, I remember when I was in high school, for a project I did a comic book version of Beowulf, and I only used a black ballpoint pen and just a red marker. It was just blood everywhere. Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate you watching the melodrama of Christian films, but also trying to appease the woman in your life, either by marketing to her or by letting her have wall-to-wall carpeting at some point. We'll be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. And we'll watch some more films. If you just happen to be in the area, in Raleigh, I'll be showing 2 films, part of an Awkward Love series, just in time for Valentine's Day at D.H. Hill Library, and that's at 4:30. It's on the first floor next to the coffee shop. So you get to smell freshly brewed coffee as we're watching educational films, which is the only way that I recommend watching these films, is with freshly brewed coffee smell. You don't have to drink the coffee, but just smelling the coffee. All right, everybody take care, and we will see you soon. If you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up, hit the like. We have more than 150,000 subscribers, so thank you so much for that. We have more than 9,000 films online, and our goal is to get 10,000 by the end of March. And we are chugging away at that. So thank you so much for your contributions and watching and commenting. That's why we do what we do. We collect the films. Then we're like, now what? Why don't we show them to a bunch of people? Okay, how can we do that? Oh, there's COVID. Well, how do we do that? Oh, YouTube. And here we are. So, see you soon. Take care.